How y'all doing? This Preacher Man R&B, and this is another Flash Reviews Wednesdays. This week is Season 1, Episode 1. What happened in this episode, we did a flashback scene of Barry when he's a kid. And he's tucked into bed, and his mom goes downstairs. Well, he gets woke up by a big noise, and his fish tank water rises up on its own. And when he goes down there, he sees lightning circling around his mother. And at this time, he doesn't know what it is, and his mother winds up dying, and his father gets framed for it. Well, what happens is, in the flashback, he flashes back again later on in this episode, and he sees a man in a yellow suit in the lightning. And we'll find more about that later on in the season. But what happens is it goes back to present day, and Barry and Iris is going to the particle accelerator ceremony where they're going to be turning it on. And Harrison Wells speaking about the particle accelerator, and he's talking about what it could do for science. And then Barry goes back to his lab, and there's this big storm that happens, and the particle accelerator goes off. This big wave of energy bursts off the Star Labs building, and it goes and it passes all the way through Central City. And a big bolt of lightning comes down and strikes Barry and puts him in a coma for 6 months. Well, he wakes up, and when he wakes up, his hand starts vibrating, and he can't stop it. Then he runs, and he runs real fast. And then he runs all the way to Starling City, where Oliver Queen is, the Arrow, and he's telling Oliver what happened and how he got struck by lightning and how he's got powers and stuff now. And Oliver tells him to take his own advice and wear a mask, and that he could be a guardian angel of his city that could protect his city at all times, because he's so fast. And he can save people in a flash. And then Oliver leaves, and Barry goes back to Central City. Well, what's happening is Harrison Wells and them's doing tests on him, seeing what all he can do. And Barry's running, and he's seeing how fast he go, and he has another flashback of what I just told y'all about the man in the yellow suit. And then he crashes into these water barrels and fractures his arm, but it heals in 3 hours. And they're just trying to figure out why this is doing this. Well, what we find out is, in the beginning of the episode, there's the Martin brothers, and they're trying to get away from Joe and them when the particle accelerator goes off, and it blows up their airplane. And it makes us think that the Martin brothers are dead when they really ain't. And the youngest brother is robbing banks and using weather powers. Now, at first, when this episode first started, we thought this was Weather Wizard. But we find out later on in this season that it's not, and we'll talk about that when that happens. But anyway, Barry faces off against him, and the youngest Martin brothers making this F5 tornado. So Barry has to run in the opposite direction to cut off the oxygen of the tornado. That way he'll stop it, and he does. Then the youngest Martin brother is about to shoot Barry, and Joe shoots the Martin brother, and sees that Barry has these powers and starts believing Barry. Where Joe didn't believe him of what he saw with his mother, now he's believing him. Now he's going to help him get his father out of prison. My questions for y'all is, what do y'all think is going to happen with Barry in the first half of the season? Because I'm reviewing the first half of season 1. I got the second half reviewed. I just had to go back and review the first half, and y'all tell me what y'all think is going to happen. As always, Preacher Man R&B signing out. Guys, dude, Jesus awesome. See y'all next time.